Okay. I'll get you kind of situated. I'm here in the saddle shed, and I was not going to do this today, but we got a bunch of cattle work coming up to do, and so I didn't know when I was going to get to do it. I'm going to answer part of the questions for the Q&A today and put them on a video and go from there. So it's cold in here. What I think we'll do, get this out of the way, is we'll just have ourselves, we'll call it the Saddle Shed series, and we can just do it like that. We'll do our Q&A sessions in here. I gotta find my torch now. Here we go. And I think that way you can see the progress, and it'll just be kind of give it a cool little backdrop. So of course we're going to be dealing with the Brandon iron heater until we get a fireplace, which fireplace might actually be in the next week or two, probably 2 weeks. I don't want to kick this thing up too much because it might mess with our sound. Yeah, we'll go over there. So, and for you who don't know, this is our Brandon iron heater, one of them. So we stick our irons in it, and this is what we use to heat our irons up. Which I guess I could have just not told you and would have given somebody another question to ask. But yeah, so that's where that's at. I kind of wanted to sweep up a little bit, and we'll go ahead and start. This is the first page. So I've got 4 pages on here. Okay. So let's start here. This is a perfect person to start with because I've been looking at this question for some time now, because a lot of people ask me. So looks like my health's showing up tomorrow, not tonight. Iowa Dairy Boys. They have a good channel. They asked me favorite YouTube channel besides yourself. So that's kind of a big thing, but roughly how many acres do you own? And your opinion on other popular, oh, I didn't even read that part, popular farming on YouTube. I don't know, I'm dyslexic. Not really, I just kind of rattled your opinion on other popular farming YouTubers. So I know that they asked me that one. That's a loaded question right there, because I have some I definitely got some personal opinions on some of those channels. I'll take this one. Favorite YouTube channel. I have thought about that one a lot. That one's really kind of a tough question, or I don't know, it's not a tough one. I have been watching YouTube now for since 2008. So, I mean, I've been watching it for some time. I just started, my room's too big. I ain't gonna get to see that. I just started, you know, uploading videos this past year. So, and I really didn't watch much on YouTube for the first 4 years, more than just music. People uploaded music to it, and that's all I really watched. I didn't watch anything. So I didn't subscribe to a lot of channels. I watched some like Philip DeFranco and Equals 3 and some channels like that a long time ago. I don't anymore. But I saw those people then, and so I guess where I'm going with this is it's only been in the past year and a half that I actually subscribed to people's channels. I don't know why the first 3 months that I watched One Lonely Farmer, I actually just typed his name into the Google search. I didn't even subscribe to it. And it wasn't anything against him, it's just, I just didn't subscribe to any channels. There are some channels that I really just kind of don't like, but I guess my favorite channels, because I don't have one, I like One Lonely Farmer, I really do. He's not my favorite at all. And my wife thinks he is. But I like Cow Camp 87, Mr. Nate. I like Wrangler Star a lot. I don't like the clickbait tags on his videos that he's gone to. But I understand, as somebody who puts out videos myself, I completely understand why you do that, because if you're doing off-the-grid homesteading and trying to pay for it through YouTube, then you got to get a lot of likes and a lot of hits. So I understand that. And I like Iowa Dairy Boys channel too. The one thing I do like more than anything is I like channels with commentary. I like the videos of the equipment working. I'm not a big fan of country music at all, so I will suffer through that on their channel just to kind of watch some of their videos. But you know, I'd actually like their videos on like This Is Our Milk Room and stuff like that. But I don't have one favorite channel, but I do like the channels where they have the commentary and they explain things, and I try to do that a lot on mine. How many acres do you own or run? That's the big question that I've really been avoiding. And I will tell you what, I don't know what it's like in other places, in other parts of the country, but here, it's really weird. Like here, if I was to walk up to somebody and be like, how many acres do you have? That's a very, very rude thing to do. I mean, that's a very rude thing to do. I mean, you almost expect to just get kicked in the teeth for doing that. Now you can, like if somebody, you know, it's common knowledge somebody like bought a place, you can be like, oh, how many acres was that place? You know, just kind of rough idea. That's fine. But walking up to somebody and just being like, how many acres do you have? That is like asking somebody, how much money do you have in your bank account? You know, and I struggle with that because it's a YouTube channel and I'm showing, okay, we're running cows, we're doing farming, And so naturally, people are curious. Like, am I just pretending to be a rancher, or pretending, am I just a hobby rancher or something? So, there's been quite a few people ask me this, and I'm glad you guys asked it on this video, because I get on your live streams and I'm a smart ass, so I feel like I can give you a little bit of crap. But I will answer it for you guys. The one thing I also will say about that is I don't answer this question to a lot of people. Now, if I tell somebody, like if somebody were to go up and be like, yeah, I've got X amount of acres, that's fine. Because they're giving you that information. You're not digging for it. So, we own over 12,000 acres of grassland. I guess there's 200 acres of farm ground. But yeah, we're over 12,000 acres of grassland, and I lease 3,000 acres of grass. So we're about 15,000 acres is what we're running on. And I'm going to turn my phone on silent, and we'll go from there. So, I'm glad that you guys asked this one, because that's just how it is. I probably should be more open about it, but here it's considered bragging, and I'm not doing this to make people think that I'm a big time rancher, because I'm really not. I don't have 100,000 acres and all my, I'm not. I'm doing what I can with what I got, and I would just like to get more and more of it. So that answers that question. Your opinion of other popular farming YouTubers. I really don't know how to answer that one, because I really didn't even know you guys put that on there. I just half-assed read it. There's one in particular that quite a few people know that I'm just, I think it's a joke. I'm not going to say who it is. They're doing it for the views, and that's just, but it's a YouTube channel. That's what you're supposed to do. If you want to make money with YouTube, you need to, you need the views. I don't think they're honest on a lot of stuff, but I don't know, because I'm not them, so that's just my opinion. Let's take One Lonely Farmer. I like his channel because he doesn't, it's how it is. This is how it is. This is why I'm doing it. If you want to see it, great. If you don't, go somewhere else. And that's kind of, they're not putting on a different face for it. I think since he is such a popular channel on the farming deal, it's kind of weird, because I get a lot of questions that I know somebody has been sitting there watching his channel, and so then they go to me like, well, why aren't you doing this? He's in a niche deal. I mean, he's got his own deal going. Everyone's like, why don't you go buy a new John Deere swather? That would cut it. And it's almost 95% sure that those people don't do hay. They watch his channel, and he bought he bought a John Deere swather, and so that's gospel. So I don't have a strong opinion, because I like some big YouTube channels, and then I like some really small ones. So I got two spectrums. I like One Lonely Farmer. I like DKL Hay. I probably said it wrong. I think it's David Kelly Lane, or David Lane Kelly. I keep getting them and they just started. I like their video because they just kind of show them what they do. So I hope that answered yours. What does it cost you to preg check? This is from Danny Kano. K-N-K-A-N-Y-O. Canyo. I think it's $3 a head. That's what it costs us preg check cows. We're gonna preg check. Today's Friday. We're preg checking Monday. We're gonna run 100 head Monday. I started moving cows today around, and we'll just go until we're done. Whenever we can get dates. So yes, I think it's $3 a head. I have paid $4 in other places. Like I was down in the Big Bend area, Texas, and they were $4. I was looking at a bunch of cows to buy. They were supposed to be bred cows with calves on their side, and we ran. Like I was going to buy 120 cows, and we got the first 40 run, and there was like 4 bred. So I just kind of went nope. But they were $4. I think we're 3 here. We may be 4. I don't know. Get my deal going. And I need to get my coffee cup. I've been staring at it this entire time. So the next question is from 44 or 44. God, maybe I am dyslexic. 444 handy rifle. My horses are dicking around outside. How many farm trucks do you have? I wish you had been a little more specific. So, are you talking about dump trucks and grain trucks, or are you talking about pickups? So, I guess I can just kind of go off the deal. We got 2 dump trucks, one of them doesn't run, and 1 grain truck, and it runs. It's sketchy. Pickups, I don't know. I'd have to sit here and count them. I personally have 2 pickups. That's how many pickups I have. Then there's the ranch, which is, my dad's got his stuff, I've got my stuff, and then there's the partnership stuff. So I've got 2 pickups. How do you do? This is the next question from Cattle Mine. Comments a lot. I like his questions. How do you do all that work mostly by yourself? My dad helps me, because we're partners, so he helps me where he can, but I do a lot, majority of the work by myself. When I can get help, I like to get them from my friends, but, that's very rare. So the majority of the work is done by me. A lot of things suffer because of it. I don't go to town. I rarely have groceries in my refrigerator. I forget to pay bills, like, quite often. My house looks like a train wreck. That is probably the biggest problem. Is I work as soon as I get up. I get up about daylight. I make coffee, and I just go outside and start mixing feed. And then I work all day. Sometimes, if I take lunch, I'll take lunch, but it's just eat and then go straight back to work. There's no sitting around or anything. And then I work until I'm done for the day, until I've gotten everything fed, whatever project I'm working on, where I can stop. So usually I get back to the house after dark, and then I try to do YouTube stuff. And so as a result, certain things just, like my house is not clean at all. There's probably stuff in my house from 3 years ago that's just still sitting in the same spot. I do dishes when I can. Usually they pile up and I run out of dishes. I usually run out of clothes, and then I'm in a big scramble to get it done before my wife comes home, so I don't, it's not a complete disaster. So, yeah, I don't have a personal life. That's That's a good one. If you want to get a lot of work done, don't have a personal life. That's my advice. And the next question is from Corber Farms. What is your perspective on the new John Deere R's and M's, and would you buy one? I would buy one in a heartbeat if I could pay for one. From what I've seen of the M's, I really like them, but I would probably go with an R series, just for a bigger one, because I spend a lot of time in them when I'm doing hay work, and the longevity of it. I don't know what sizes, how big you can get in the M sizes, but I really need like 180 horsepower. So that's what I would do. If I had the money just sitting around, I would buy an R. But I don't, and I probably won't ever have the money, so I probably won't buy one. I've actually been kind of looking at Massey Ferguson tractors. Again, with I don't have any money, so I'm not going to buy one of those. I like John Deere tractors. I would probably buy a John Deere tractor. If I had to buy another tractor, I would probably buy a 7630 or a 77 or 7830. That would probably be the next step for me as far as tractors go. I definitely would tell anyone to go buy one. I don't own one, but I know people who do own them, and they definitely like them. Cal Camp's got one. He really likes one, and that would be enough for me to tell somebody to go buy one. The next one is from 69 Druth. Maybe it's Druth. I don't know. D-R-U-T-H. Do you go to the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo? No. We'll finish the question. I went in my younger days on a trip from Ontario Junior Farmers. A good do. Seen Reba and Brooks and Dunn at the Astrodome. My wife has been to the Houston show. She assistant coach Kansas State wool team, and they won it last year for judging. I hate livestock shows. I hate show cattle. And I've got one out here in my pens. It's my sister-in-law's. I did not show cattle, so I don't like it. My personal opinion, it's silly where it has gone to from what it should be. I think that they have gotten completely away from actually showing off the animal and the structure of the animal, because where it started was ranches were breeding animals to show how good of an animal they could produce, and now you've gotten it to where everyone's putting 4 inches of hair on the damn calf to hide the imperfections, and so you get people who are doing it to hide it, and now there's so many people who do that, it has become the norm to have hairy cattle, and I think a lot of them don't know. Or maybe they do know, but I think it's dishonest is what it is. You're there to present the genetics of an animal, and I've been flat told that I've got almost 600 cows, and there's a lot of good bred cows and a lot of good genetics, and someone sits there and like, oh well, those aren't good enough, but I'm gonna go buy a calf that can grow hair to hide the fact that that's a bucket of worms. I can't stand it, but that's me. There's a lot of people who do like it, and I'm happy for them, because that's a big way for people to have something to do with agriculture, and that's sometimes their only way, so more power to them. Same person, 69 Drew, does Canadian cattle have an impact on you guys as producers? I know a lot head south. There's some comments on this. They do. They do have some impacts. I kind of like our northern neighbors. I kind of sometimes wish they'd get their shit figured out in their dairy herds and quit having issues with things like that, but TB or mad cow or whatever, because it affects our markets when something happens up there. I know that a lot of their producers are doing exactly what we're doing. You know, we're doing everything we can, and stuff happens. So nothing personal against you guys, but I've got to make money too. So, you know, cattle come here, it affects my bottom dollar, and that's... It's like I have a lot less problem with Canadian cattle than I do Brazilian cattle. I'm not a big fan of them importing Brazilian beef when our market is such a shit show. So I'd rather see Canadian beef than Brazilian beef, just because I have people who watch my channel from Canada, and I like them. The next question is from Joey Woods. What's the reason for using two mixers, if I may ask? Well, you can, because this is a Q&A, so... But that actually wasn't on a Q&A video, so no, you can't ask. The reason why I have two mixers is because in feed yards or anything, when you're using equipment, stuff breaks. And when you're feeding cattle, you got to have backups, because if it breaks, those cattle have to eat, and you better be able to feed them. I bought the wagon just for a backup. Like a couple months after I bought it, the engine shelled out in my truck, and now I got the truck back. So what I'm doing with the wagon is, it's just for silage. We're just feeding silage, and but it can mix feed. We put a lot of work into it, but you have to have backups. The other reason I have two mixers is because I'm feeding grow ration in one and silage in the other, and that way I don't have to have my mixes exact. So if I have a little bit of leftover in one or the other, it's not a big deal. Because I do a lot of other stuff besides feed cattle. Like, feeding cattle is just my chores in the morning. It's the chores, I go do it, and then I go on to the rest of the ranch work. So it's very convenient having two mixers. It's a lot more convenient when one of them breaks down and you don't have to murder people around you because you're stressed out. Jake, I wanted to say Spence, but it's not Spence. Speece, S-P-E-C-E. I know I made the comment that if you guys didn't want me to butcher your name, put how you want me to say it in there. Nobody did that, so. How far are you from the nearest town? I am 20 miles from Clayton. It's a population of 1,600 maybe. There is a grocery store there. Like to get groceries. Do you and your wife originate from cattle ranches in New Mexico? There is a grocery store. There is filling stations. I don't drive there to get gas. I have fuel tanks on the ranch, and I buy fuel in bulk, and they bring it to me, and I go from there. I try to avoid getting groceries in town as much as possible, because I would say it's a third more than anywhere else. I go to Dalhart a lot, which is the next closest place. That's 45 miles. They have a bigger grocery store, and that's starting to catch up with Clayton. They're getting kind of expensive. So the nearest Walmart is 120 miles in Amarillo. There's one in Dumas, and you don't go there if you're white. I'm just saying, it's true. It's a sketchy place. Not being racist, I'm just speaking the truth. There's a lot of people from a lot of other countries who go there because they work in the packing plants, and they don't take no shit. So, and it's not even, it's like a home, it's like a neighborhood one, so they really don't have, it's not one of the big ones where they have a lot of variety, and I like a lot of variety, because I don't get out much. So, you know, if you want to do big grocery shopping, you go to Sam's, which is 130 miles, and if you got to do decent grocery shopping, you go to United, which is in Dalhart. And I go to Dalhart a lot for parts and stuff, so using the gas to get there it's not a big deal for me. You always hear people complaining, well, you got to drive to get there. Well, I got to drive to get anywhere. The next one. This goes back to the very original question. Wyatt Mary Farm Boy. I clicked on his channel because this question, I've had this question before. And he's a young kid. A really young kid. Kind of a local kid. Not too far from me. About 100 miles from me. Because I creeped on his channel. I think he's from Texoma. Will you get a John Deere swather? No. I will not get a John Deere swather unless something happens to my brand new Massey Ferguson. I have a brand new 200 hours on the header Massey Ferguson WR9870. Over $100,000 I gotta come up with that damn thing. So I will not get a John Deere swather. I do like their swathers a lot. I owned a 4995 and I love that swather. That was an amazing swather because it was so much better than my old Heston, which was a pile of junk. It ate parts all the time. It did the job, but my old Heston did like to eat parts. I looked at buying a John Deere swather. I'm going to take this as a serious question, not a one lonely farmer has a John Deere swather. So I am going to take this as a serious question, because it may be. I looked at one, there was not one available within the time that I needed one. And John Deere did not, they do now, they don't have their own double windrow attachment design. Now that they bought MacDon, they're going to have their own design. Before you were having to get a third party and put onto there. Massey Ferguson has their own. The main reason I went with Massey Ferguson is because my motor was about to blow up. It had metal in the oil. I mean, just non-stop. I mean, I changed the oil and it had metal in it right away. It was just, that thing was about to die. I needed a reliable machine. Western Equipment could not get me one, or one that I wanted within the time, or that I wanted to pay for. Livingston's, I called them. They're the ones I had the previous machine through. I have a problem. I need a swather. They said, we have one. I said, I want it tomorrow. They brought me the machine. And they took mine away, and I owe them even more money now. So I really like the Massey though. The big thing is the cutter bar on the Massey. I like a lot more than I do John Deere on the way that you attach the knives. It's John Deere has got their head so far where it doesn't belong on their knife attachment. It's ridiculous. They made it so hard that. And it's not that big of a deal. So that's another big reason why I did that. Now, if I wear my Massey out and John Deere has a better option, or I go 2 years and John Deere has a better option where I'm still going to be making money, then I will buy a John Deere swather. But it's going to have to be competitive with Massey Ferguson. I don't think I will. I don't think it's going to happen. Because the serviceability, where I am, Livingston's, I call them up, they fix my machine that day. That thing's going back in the field. Our local John Deere dealer, isn't real big on hay. So, and I don't blame them. I think they should get a little bit bigger on hay. I do more business with them, but they're more into corn, and so it's not their big priority to stock parts or service people. So I like the service to Livingston's. Nothing against my John Deere dealer. I buy a lot of parts from them. I like them, but even their service manager says it himself. They're not the hay. They're not in the hay. So that is the answer to the John Deere swather. Let me check my video real quick and see how long I've been yelling. Or if we're even still recording. Well, it's not going to tell me how long I've been recording, so we'll do a few more. I'm enjoying this. Oh, that's more intricate questions. That one's going to have to wait. Alright. We'll start from the bottom. From Mr. Nate. If you guys have not checked out this channel, go check it out. It's an awesome channel. Great guy. Really great guy. There's actually quite a few guys coming up. Where would you like to be in 5 years' time? That's a tricky question because of the situation I'm in because of the cattle market. I would like to I should have the majority of all of my cows paid for in 5 years. I'm buying more cows all the time. I would like to be preconditioning, a couple thousand head a year because that's actually making money. That's amazing. For the next 5 years, we're probably just going to be running wheat. So I'm not going to be doing my own hay as hard and heavy as I was. I can't plan for 5 years because I've done it before and it's just been a wreck because we've had a drought and we had a cattle market collapse and it's just been a shit show. So we're going to just get kind of a rough idea. If we don't have a drought and I don't have to sell my cows, they're going to almost be paid for, as long as the cattle market doesn't tank again. The majority of them will be paid for. But I've got some middle-aged cows now, so probably what I will be doing is I will be selling a lot of cows and buying young cows. And so then I will be in debt for another 3 or 4 or 5 years, just depending on the value of cows at the time. Because I roll through my cows. I would like to save heifers. I've done it. That's how we built our first cow herd. And the drought kind of really screwed that one up as keeping heifers. So I'm going to be looking at selling cows. I'm going to be kind of in a medium place of making money and debt. I will be rolling through a lot of cows in 5 years if nothing happens. I will have a lot of young cows in 5 years. A lot of medium-aged cows in 5 years. The other, I would like to, hope I have some more land put together by then. In 5 years, both my round balers will be gone in 5 years. I'm trying to get rid of one of them now. I hope that my windrower is still in good enough shape in 5 years I can keep it for another 5 years, but that thing should be paid for in 5 years. If I'm still doing that. Who knows? I mean, that's the thing. Life is so uncertain. You can make a plan and just 2-3 years from now, you're completely somewhere else. Financially, who knows where I'll be. I will definitely still be in debt. There's no way I'll ever be out of debt. I'll probably die in debt. That's just how ranching works. If you're really good at it. Or really bad. I don't know which one it is. I need to figure that one out. So, I could have gone a lot deeper, but I don't want to. Maybe if I harass you on the phone. The next channel, Larson Valley Farms. A lot of you are subscribed to them. They're a good channel, great channel. They said the live streams would be cool, which I would like to do is live streams. My question is, how can we make money farming? I have no idea because I'm losing money. And they were making random comments about my cows. I have no idea how to make money farming. The only thing that is even paying a few bills right now is preconditioning, because yearlings aren't making any money. Cows aren't really making any money if you bought them 2 years ago. Yeah, it's a joke right now, being agriculture. Next is Anderson Cattle Company. I like your channel. I've enjoyed other guys doing Q&A. When you custom feed calves, do you charge cost plus, or do you charge so much for pound gain? Some people have done cost gain. I don't do it. Most people don't do it anymore. And I'll tell you why you do not do it. It's because people can send you really shitty cattle that don't have a good feed conversion, and so it's costing you money. I do it as you pay the cost of the feed plus cost. So I mark up my feed, and you're paying for the feed plus my time to do it, and that's how it is. That's how you have to do it, or you'll go broke. And I'm already broke, so I don't need to be broker. The other thing is you can get in snowstorms or just heat or whatever, and the cattle back off and they're not gaining, and it's not a good thing. It's really hard to do it, and it's really hard to pencil down your cost, because each set of calves will gain differently. So if you set a standard, you're going to pay me 80 cents a pound to gain, well, you can have one set that do 49 cents, and then you can have one set that do 77 cents, and that just doesn't work. I mean, you got to be able to pay your bills. You got 2 feed mixers, and one of them's always breaking down. You got to be able to take that plus cost and keep your equipment running. It's very expensive to own a feedlot. It really doesn't make a lot of money. The next one is from Roger Wilson. What I would like to ask is about a hat narrow in the back but wide in the front, and what the name of it. I'm assuming you mean cowboy hat, and that's kind of a West Texas thing. New Mexico, eastern New Mexico. we used to call them taco hats in high school, but it's just kind of like a panhandle shape, like by the panhandle we mean where we are. So that's, I mean, because they start out like this in the front, and then they kind of narrow up in the back, and they're always standing like that. We call them tacos. I've got one. I do want to go back to one. I burnt it. I didn't mean to. They asked if I grew up in a ranching background, and if my wife did. Well, of course I did. In my channel description, it says I'm 5th generation. I'm 5th generation on this ranch. I'm number 5. And this where I am is part of the original homestead. My wife, not really. Her father, and on her father's side, they have a little ranch. And I'm not trying to insult anybody, but it's what we would consider kind of like a hobby ranch. They got 100 cows or something like that. And everyone went and got jobs. So you did your ranching on the side, and it's not meant to be insulting. It's just it's not. It doesn't take every waking moment of your life, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, because my wife doesn't get vacations or anything like that because of me. I don't get to go see her very often, because every dime I have is going back into this place to keep it going. So She grew up around it. She did grow up around it, but she didn't grow up on one. And I don't know how far back they go into ranching. I don't know how far my family goes. This is where the 5th generation New Mexico, and they had a lot of big ranches in Texas before they came here, and they raised Calvary mounts, and they had a lot of cattle around Jack Sparrow. And pretty much my family's been in agriculture since they got here, and they got here before the Revolution. They had a place in South Carolina and Georgia and through the South, and they just kind of stayed in the South, and part of the family broke off and went north before the Civil War, and nobody kept tabs on them because they're Yankees. But yeah, it's just everyone's been in the South, and they all farmed or had agriculture or did construction. So I've definitely been around it. Okay, we left off with Roger Wilson. The next one is James Petty. Speak of the devil. James asked, Will, have you thought about using hypnotic growing system? I have no idea what you're talking about. I didn't even Google it. Explain it in your comment, but no, because I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, if it's something fancy, I'd like to know about it, but I definitely have not thought about it. Now we're on to elm custom harvesting. They asked, or they said, we'll get our coffee poured first. One thing I was going to say, the weather is, you're really hard on cattle. I love comments on YouTube because I think everyone types them on their cell phone. So they're always, to have big temperature swing all the time. I like a little more information on the cake that you're feeding. The temperature is extremely hard on our cattle. If it would level out, we'd have a lot less sickness, but going from 70 degrees to 20 degrees for your high in 12 hours is pretty ridiculous. I will do some more information on the cake that we're feeding. I'm feeding 25% cake now. I did it just to get and that's 25% protein. And we did it just to get the cattle started back on cake. And we had some cows that were kind of thin, and boy, they're not now. I mean, you can see a huge difference in them. Real fleshy, they're fluffed up, they're looking great. We will probably go to 20% for the majority of the winter, just because we tend to feed a lot of cake. And it's cheaper, but we really need to just kind of sit down, and the one thing about it is you got to sit down and see how many dollars difference it is to feed the 25% or the 20%, and how much fuel that you're going to use, because you got to feed over a 2-day period. You got to feed 1 more pound per animal. Well, that's a quarter of a ton over a 2-day period. So I mean, it can add up in the fuel and the time that you have to do. Right now we're feeding 25%, and it was expensive. It's more than I wanted it to be. It was like $2.90, but we start shipping in 20%. We'll be down to like $2.20 a ton. Okay, but it does have a lot of fat, and that's where we get a lot of energy in our cake, whereas the 20% only has like 3% fat. So it doesn't have as much energy. It's just kind of just base, bones, protein, cube. And so it may be worth it just to stick with the higher cake. Prestamon, I guess that's how you pronounce it. What is your process for weaning calves? Vax, feed additives, fence line weaning, etc. We don't fence line wean. I've got a feed lot. We've never done it either. You've got to. I have some fence. I have one pasture that you could do it. It's got a 7-wire fence around it. I don't know why, because they never fence line weaned. We pull all of our cows in. We pull the calves, and then we haul them to the pens. And you're supposed to give everything a shot 2 weeks before you wean of an IVR. Our cattle have one round, sometimes 2, if we can catch them while they're calving. Most of the time on the spring calvers we do, and so usually we just give everything their shots when we pull them. But what we'll do is we pull the cows into the pens. We'll take all the calves off and turn the cows back out, because by that point in time they're really happy to get rid of their calves. We need to get to a point where we're spraying the cows for flies and lice when we do that, but we've been kind of busy. We haven't been doing that lately while we're weaning. Then we hold them up in the pens. I take some really good hay that I raise, and I feed them the hay for the first couple days while they're balling. I keep them at the house up in the main pen, because it's all, they cannot get out of it unless some asshole tries to take them out of there. But that's what we do with them, and then that way we can watch them, make sure they don't get sick. They'll either go back out to grass. This year, since we put everything on wheat, I fed them silage for like 40 days. It was a good idea, but it'd probably be just as effective just to feed them the feed ration. I'm feeding everything else, and if I continue to precondition cattle, that's what I'll do. If we don't go out to wheat with them, then they go straight on a feed ration, and we grow them up to 800 pounds. But we give everything another round of IVR. We always do that. So usually why we do that is they've usually had 2 to 3 rounds, and with everything else we do, they can go on a superior back program. Like 45 is what we usually try to shoot for, and they just bring a little bit more money if we sell them on superior. Josh Timer asks, I have a 2-part question. When will the cattle market rebound so I can sell my feeders? I've got no idea. And how are your new pivots doing? They're doing fantastic. I'm super glad that I've got new pivots. And for where we're going with wheat for the next 5 years, they're putting fertilizer out way more efficiently and effectively on a broad, it's just way more uniform. So I am completely thankful for the NRCS and my wife for making that possible, because it wouldn't have been possible, and it wasn't possible without it. So they're amazing. I'm completely happy I have them. Brandon Van Gorp asks, how many head of cattle can you handle or feed? Where are you based from? I was thinking about it today. We can run between 750 and 800 head of calves in the pens right here at the house. And that's full. I've got, and then like if we're feeding silage to calves that are out on wheat, I mean we could really stock it up. I've got another set of feed pens. I don't really use them because they're up the road, but we could run well over 1,000 head comfortably. We could put probably 500 head of calves up in that other pen. So anywhere, if we were super pushing it and I just was froggy about everything, we could easily run 1,500 to 2,000 head of calves. I would have everything full. I mean, they would be stuffed in the rafters, but they would be there and I could feed them. And I would really like that, because that would be some really nice yardage. I could actually pay some bills. Where are you based from? I'm out of New Mexico, northeast corner. It says it in the channel description. So, yeah, I've had there's a channel description, and I don't know if people see it or not, but it says I'm 5th generation rancher from northeast corner of New Mexico. But that's where I'm from. Alright. So here's the last two. Bird Chris 1, I think it's one Bird Chris. I didn't, for some reason when it printed off, it didn't put all the names. So I had to go back through and write them all down. Cow calf, what's your break even in dollars for a 500-pound calf? I'd have to sit here and do that. At what price per pound? I don't know. I really just want to do this one on a whiteboard, and we may do that, but I know right now on a 500-pound calf, with cows I bought 2 years ago, I'm below break even. Or I was a month ago. So I want to say they're at break even with pasture cost, and because I'm paying for my cows, I'm paying for my pasture, and I've got all of my hay and cake that I have to feed the cow through the winter. So, you know, my cows aren't paid for, my land's not paid for, and then I gotta pay everything. So I'm like, I would say conservatively, my break even on a 500-pound calf is $750 a head. That's at 100% calf crop, probably. I'm not for sure. I want to work that one out. That way other people can see it. I think that would be pretty interesting. Cow Camp 87. He's got an awesome channel. What breeds of bulls do you use? All Brahman bulls. We don't have any black bulls. No. Okay, I do have a couple Brahman bulls because I got my floppies. We use all Black Angus bulls on all of the ranch cows, except for 2 Hereford bulls, because they're just bulls that I owned, and I love black baldies. They're just my favorite, and they do extremely well in the feed yard. Black baldies, hands down, do amazing in the feed yard. I would probably like to get a few more Hereford bulls or just some more black baldy cows. That'd be easier. And I wouldn't have to look at Hereford bulls. I like Hereford bulls. But we run all Black Angus bulls. Except for the 2 Hereford bulls. And on the cows that my wife and I own, I bought 2 Red Angus bulls. Because I wanted to see what a cross would be, how well a cross between a Red Angus or a Hereford or whatever kind of cow and a Red Angus bull, how it would do in the feed yard as far as cost per pound gain versus a Black Angus or a Black Baldy or a Hereford Cross Angus. You know, that's... So I've got... Everything is Black Angus bulls except for 2 Herefords, 2 Brahmans, and 2 Red Angus. And I got a few Brangus bulls running around, floating around. How many miles do you put on a day caking cows? I set my deal on my pickup. I did 30 miles yesterday, and I only did 2/3 of the pastures. And a couple of the pastures were real close to the gates. I could just run in and cake them and leave. So I would say 40 miles minimum. That's if you're lucky, if you're not running all over the place. Do you move cows to certain wintering pastures, or other pastures they live in? Are they there year-round? Right now we do everything year-round. When I was younger and we didn't have as many cows as we do now, we would pull cows from part of the ranch and bring them up closer to our haystacks. And we fed a lot of hay though, because we grew hay and we fed a tremendous amount of hay. That's the way my father grew up. The reason why I have farming is because my grandfather drilled an irrigation well. And they put up like 60 to 70,000 small squirt bales of alfalfa a year, and they had 150 cows just on one part of the ranch, and they fed it. They just fed all year, and so my dad grew up that way. So he grew hay, and when I was growing up, we fed hay all winter long. Didn't matter how much grass there was, you fed them hay. So we've really kind of cut back from that because it's not cost effective, and we're in the business to make money. So, and I've had to buy this ranch that I'm on, and we bought some other land, so we have to make as much money as we can to make those land payments. And it's definitely not easy to do. So we don't winter cows anymore. They are in the pastures they live in. Now we will move cows around to different pastures, and it's really good to do that because they'll go and graze in different places where the cows that have been in there won't. And yeah, we do that quite a bit when we're branding or peg checking or stuff. We move cows around, sort cows up, do stuff like that. So we don't winter anymore. And that's all the questions I had. So I hope you enjoyed this. I certainly did. If you have any more questions, I would say just put them in the comments below on this video, and then we'll just do a saddle shed series. Say that like 4 times, and we'll because I'm gonna put the fireplace in over there, and I'll either do it by my fireplace in the house, or we'll do it in here with the fireplace, and that way we can have our fireside talks like FDR did. So yeah, let's do that, and hopefully the Brandon Iron heater didn't drone out me, and so I don't have to do this again because I just burned all the questions. But we will stop it there, and we will continue when I get more questions. And if you don't feel like my questions were good enough, then, well, we'll try to answer them a little bit better. So, as always, thanks for watching. And please comment, like it, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And we'll go from there.